Hey everybody, welcome back to the reservation. You know, really quick, it'd really help us out. We're getting a lot of views, but go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It would really help us out. Like it and share it with all your friends. Now today, we're going to try this big old piece of meat right here. This is called a beef knuckle. Used to be a fairly cheap cut of meat. This thing weighs about 13.5 pounds. Right now it's not really a cheap cut. It's really $65. That's about what I pay for a brisket. This thing comes from the hind quarter, and it's in between the top and the lower round, and it's also part of the sirloin. So there's good meat in here. It's really lean. So I'm going to get this thing out of the cryovac. I'm going to rinse it off, get it patted dry. There's minimal trimming because it's a really lean piece of meat. So we're going to shoot a lot of injection in this thing. We'll talk about the injection when we come back. So we'll see you in just a minute. Got this thing rinsed and we patted it dry. A lot of silver skin here, so we're going to take that off. So I want to get seasoning down into the meat, and you can see it's just kind of doesn't look good, does it?
No.
So let's just start trimming that off of there. This can be a little tricky, a little tedious. If you don't get it off, you can't get your seasonings down into the meat. And we really want, with a big piece of meat like this, we want to definitely get our seasonings down onto the meat. So, and you're going to get just a little bit of meat. Don't sweat that. You'll never miss it when it's done. You just kind of want to run your knife just kind of right under that. So I take and I poke my knife up under it. I can stay there. And just slide it back. Get hold of it and just follow just kind of right along the meat. And it might look funny. You can see where I've cut into the meat just a little bit. When this cooks, you're never going to see that. You will never notice that. But that being said, you kind of want to, you pay so much for this meat, you want to save as much of the meat as you can. Now, a really sharp knife helps with this process too. This knife that I'm using is a Dalstrong. It's got an Asian edge. Very sharp knife. It's great for this kind of work. But I like a sharp knife. Camera Babe doesn't like a sharp knife.
Oh no.
She says they're too dangerous, and I keep trying to tell her that the dull knives are the ones that'll cut you.
No, I don't believe him.
But for something like this, a sharp knife is definitely the way to go. Definitely the way to go. And and before the pandemic, this cut of meat right here was probably $25 or $30, so it's probably twice as expensive as it normally is. So I don't know if we'll ever see prices down like that again. We'll see.
And that's a beef knuckle roast?
Beef knuckle roast,
and
yes it is.
You got it at what, GFS?
Yes I did, it came from GFS. Not the only place around here to get big cuts of meat like this. I don't have a membership to Sam's Club, plus I'd have to drive to Reynoldsburg or someplace. further than I want to drive. I don't like having to drive the 10 miles to the GFS. I may not get quite as tedious with the other side because it's going to sit in the smoker with this side up, and probably this side towards the firebox because, you know, aerodynamically, this side you come into it, it's a straight wall. This side is more tapered, so it's going to let the smoke roll over it. And believe it or not, that does make a difference in how much smoke you get into your meat. And this is as much as I'm going to do to this side. One piece right here we might get at. Alright. And that's pretty much got all the silver skin and everything off of that side. See what we got happening over here. Oh yeah. We gotta get that stuff off. So I'm going to do to this side exactly what I did to the other side. You know, when we get time, or when we come back, it's going to be time to inject, and then we'll talk about the injection, and we'll see in just a few. Okay, here's our roast. It's trimmed up as much as I'm going to do. Next step in this, we're going to put it in this foil pan here. And I always say this in all my videos, hold that thing up to the light. And I know it might be new, but it could have a hole in it. And if there's a hole, you'll see it if you hold this up to the light. So, I'm just going to transfer this thing right over into our pan. Get away with our cutting board. Now we're going to inject this thing, and we're going to try to inject this thing with the green, which is going to be a little bit tough because I don't know if you can tell it or not, but the green on this side is running this way, and this green's running that way. This one here, I'm not sure which way it's running. I think it's running this direction too. So anyway, so my injection, I'll tell you about it. I have 2 cups of water, a tablespoon each of Miner's beef au jus or beef base, and then 1 cup of high quality apple juice, and mix that together. And you know, the apple juice is just something I just started messing around with, and it's actually really good. So give it a try. I think you'll like it. You know, start out, add a half a cup of apple juice and taste it, and then 3/4 of a cup, and then, you know, I mean, if you think it needs more, add the whole cup. So let's get into injecting this thing. We're going to try to get as much in here as what we can. And like I said, we're going to follow the green. And if we don't get the whole 3 cups of injection into here, I'm not really going to sweat it because I'm going to use it as a mop sauce. I'm going to leave it in here on the stove on simmer, keep it warm, and I'm probably going to let it go probably an hour before I'll do it the first time. Let those seasonings get set good on the surface of the meat. And I know we've been a little slow on getting our videos up here all summer, but we've been busy in the garden, and right now it's canning season. That's why you have tomatoes. There's a zucchini behind me. There's a bucket of tomatoes down here. Once this thing gets on the pit out there, we'll be canning tomatoes. It's kind of an everyday thing right now. And I think we're up to, what are we up to? About 42 quarts, I think.
Something like that.
But we've done, well, Camera Babe did 20 quarts of pickles. She started to cringe when I'd bring cucumbers in the house. So I started taking them to work and giving them away. Those pickles will last us probably more than a year. They do have a good flavor and they're nice and crisp. Okay, so that's this side. Let's flip it over and get some in the other side. And remember, we're going to keep going with the grain. And it looks like the grain to me is running this direction, so that's the way we're going to go. You know, flavor-wise, it's not going to make a difference if you follow the grain or not. But if you go cross grain with it, you're going to end up with a little tiny brown spot in your meat. So that's the reason I always preach to follow the grain. I'll tell you what, this is some tender meat. It really is. Yeah, I think that's about as much as we're going to get in it. I'm going to rinse my hands off, wash them, and we're going to season this thing up, and then we're going to go out and get it on the pit. Be right back. Okay, getting ready to season this thing up, and you might notice that I have a towel under this end of the pan over here, and my counter is a little bit above the range top. But the reason I did that, the injection that was run out of the meat is down here on this end of the pan, and what it's going to help stop, because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to season this side, and when I roll it over, I don't want all that seasoning washing off because of the injection that's in the bottom of the pan. Now we're going to save that injection, and we'll probably put it back into the bowl or the pot over there, and we'll use it as a mop. But for now, we're going to get started on this, and this is going to be the last of my, this is granulated garlic. You can see there's not much in here. I just want to get this container out of my cabinet. And I think that was all that's in there. Okay. I made a mistake when I went to the store. Instead of getting granulated for my garlic powder and my onion powder, I actually got powder. And you're going to see the difference. And the worst part is, I knew better and I still did it and didn't even realize I'd done it until I got home. But at $15 or whatever it is a container for this stuff, it's going to get used up.
Yeah, granulated is so much better.
Yeah. Makes better bark too. Alright, so put these over here that I'm done with. So here's our onion powder. I recommend to granulate it, just like the garlic, but same story. Even the granulate will go on a lot more even. I was going to say evener. I don't even think that's a word.
It is now.
It is now. I made it up. Okay, what are we going to use next? This is Tony's Chacheree Creole seasoning. Excellent, excellent seasoning. If you can't find it, I think Walmart has it most of the time. Of course, I think Walmart, their shelves are, a lot of them are empty. So get online, find it. It would definitely be worth the effort of getting it. Highly recommended. Right here, ground Chipotle powder. Put a little bit of that on there. This will provide a little bit of back end heat. It won't be overpowering. It'll just be that nice warm heat that is really good on barbecue. Now if you put too much on, I'm sure you can make it hot. Okay, next thing. This is McCormicks Montreal steak. This has a lot of different seasonings in it. It also will have the salt in it. That's why you won't see me put any salt or anything on this, because it's all being taken care of right here with this. And I've said this before too, I like putting my seasonings on one at a time individually. If you're into combining them together, go ahead. That's up to you. I used to do it that way. I just found this way I have more control of each seasoning of what's going on. Okay, now this is cracked black peppercorns. You can use a table, restaurant grind, whatever you want to use. This right here is going to make a little bit better bark. I know one thing I didn't get out, honey.
What?
Coffee. You want to put coffee on it? Are you ready to pick up some of your coffee hoard? Well, that's all the coffee you got?
Oh, no.
Oh,
I got one over here, a big one.
I don't want to use up all
I
your
got a
coffee.
large one.
It's going to kind of give it this a kind of a rich flavor.
Some people use cocoa, though. I just don't know.
I don't know. I've never tried it. I know. I have never tried it. It might do the exact same thing. As you think about it, this isn't really bitter.
Yeah,
I
true.
think. I'm not a coffee drinker though.
Oh, I love my coffee. You gotta have it.
Okay, last seasoning. Last thing we're going to put on this is some smoked paprika. And get it to come out. And give it a pretty good coat of that. I think it's looking almost good enough to eat right now. I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, we got all our seasonings on, at least on this side. I'm going to roll this thing over. I'm going to put everything you just saw me do to this side, I'm going to do to the top side. And then I'm going to go out and I'm going to get 2 chimneys of charcoal ready. And I don't even want to get started on charcoal. I've always used Kingsford. I could always get 2 20-pound bags for, I think, $19.99. I went to get some, and it has gone up 50%. It was $31 for that same bag. And so we're going to try a different charcoal. We got some lump charcoal and some regular charcoal, and we're going to give that a shot this time. It was a lot cheaper. And actually with the Kingsford, you know, the last few times I've used it, the last few bags that I've gotten, it doesn't seem to have the BTUs in it, and it seems to burn up a lot quicker. And I'm not going to pay a higher price for a lesser product. So that's just my opinion. You know, you can write in the comments, tell me if you're having the same issue with it. And but other than that, we'll be back here in a minute when it's time to put this thing on the pit. We're out to the pit. I got the temp up to 275. I put 2 chimneys of charcoal down there in the firebox, and right now we got some good hickory smoke going. I like using the lumps. I always like hickory or pecan on my beef, so we're going to use hickory today. I have a water pan, which my water pan is just go to the Dollar Tree and get their bread pans. They're $1, and because you aren't gonna be able to cook bread in them, and eventually they get holes in them. You can just throw them out. So anyway, we're ready to throw this thing in here, and now I didn't put this back in the fridge. This has been in there sitting and resting, basically on where you last saw it, with a piece of foil over top of it. I don't know, for a half hour or 40 minutes, however long it took to get the chimneys and charcoal going, and then get the pit up to temp. So we're going to throw this thing in here, and I'm probably going to stay over in here because I know it's 25 degrees cooler on that side, because I put a kitchen thermometer, like an oven thermometer, in there. Now if it's 275 here, it's 250 here, so we're going to leave that right there, and we're going to come back and look at it here in about an hour and probably put a mop on it. So we'll see you then. It's been just a little over an hour. I haven't looked at this. I've been keeping the smoke going on it. We're running right about 265, 270. That's fine. We're really only looking for about an internal temp on this, probably 140, 145. It's going to be whatever you like as far as your doneness of beef, anywhere from 135 to 165. We seem to like ours more right around the 145, which is kind of getting the medium, you know, a good medium. So it's a little bit bloody in the center, like I like it, and more down on the ends, like Camera Babe likes it. So it seems to work out well for us. So let's see what this thing's looking like. Get the smoke, it's gonna burn your eyes.
Beautiful.
It is looking good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And looks like the water pan be good for a little while longer. It's got about half the water in it started with. Now remember, this is my injection, plus it is the seasonings in the injection that was left in the pan that I injected this in. I just fill it back in here, and I've kept it on the stove on, I think low or simmer, but one of the lower settings on the stove, because I don't want it to all boil away. I just want it to stay warm. So it's really looking good. I'm probably going to let it go another, gosh, I don't know, probably another hour. I'll probably mop it again here in about a half hour. But in an hour, we're going to look at it, and we're going to check the temp, and we might bring it in and pan it at that point. So we'll probably see you in another hour. Okay, hour 2. We're going to look at this again, mop it again, and it's looking good. Looks like I need to add some water into my water pan. I'll do that here in just a second. But we're going to mop this thing again. I know, I'm not really mopping it, I'm kind of drizzling the, but for me this works the best. And I'm not moving the seasonings around on the meat much, so kind of works out real well. Now, I know earlier I was talking about the charcoal, and I've always used Kingsford Original, and always, in this pit, always, 80 degrees out here today. I've always been able to get 3 hours and 45 minutes at 275. I mean, forever, that's what I've gotten. We're 2 hours in, and I've already had to light another chimney of charcoal because these are just about burned up. And I'm telling you, there's something up with that. I don't know if they can't get the materials, whether they've been wet. I really don't know what's going on. But it has been probably the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 bags that I've bought have been that way. So anyway, I'm going to go put some water in this, and probably about 20 minutes or so we'll be in the house. We're going to pan this because I want to do that when I put those chimneys in, because whenever I put new coals in down here in the firebox, you always get a spike on this cooker. I mean, you're going to get that in any cooker. But I like to do that spike while I'm in the house panning it. So anyway, next time you see us, we'll be back in the house. All right, back in the kitchen. We're going to pan this. I just checked the temp. It is right at, well, one end is like 97. This end back here is about 106. So I mean that's fine. Big hunk of meat. But what we're going to do, we're going to take the end that's a little bit warmer. We're going to put that away from the firebox, and hopefully that'll let the cooler end there catch up a little bit. So I took the rest of our mop sauce, which was also our injection, and I just poured that over the top. It's going to give us some liquid in the bottom. And the only thing left to do, really, I'm going to cover this thing up with foil. Now, I did put my charcoal in right before I pulled this out. I threw my charcoal in, shut the cooker down, because right now it's out there spiking. I just went out and looked at it, and it's at a little over 300. Hopefully by the time I get back out there, it's going to be back down the 275 range. And we're just going to let this thing roll probably another hour, hour and a half out there, and I got a feeling it'll be getting really close to our 145. I don't expect a big stall with this because there's not a lot of fat or marbling in it. It's a very lean cut of meat. So we'll see how long it takes, but right now this is going back out into the pit. Been 5 hours. We are anywhere from 145 to about 151 on this, and put that in there. We're showing 142, and that's about 153, and that one's actually in the 160s. That's your piece there, ain't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, we're 5 hours into this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover this back up and keep it sealed. I'm going to put it over in a warming box. We're going to give this thing about a 2-hour rest, and when it's time to slice into it, we'll come back and take a bite. It's going to be good. That would have been all bad.
Yeah. All right.
All right, it's been about a 3-hour rest time here on this thing, and get you some gloves like this, because you can pick up hot stuff and it don't burn. So there's our roast.
Still steaming.
Yeah, I wonder how warm it really is. All right, we're going to see, just for fun, the 3 hours of rest, what our temp's still at. That's 138 after 3 hours of sitting. Got a 133 over there, and a 135 there. So this stuff's still really juicy. Well, we don't know it's really juicy. We know it's really hot. Oh, God. I have to edit that out. So after 3 hours, it's only lost, what, 10 degrees? And it's sitting rested. We got all that liquid coming out of it. And the first thing we're going to do to it here, I'm going to cut this thing right down the middle and see what we got. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Looks like a medium rare. Or medium.
Yeah, and it's not real bloody. And look at this smoke ring. Can you see this smoke ring?
Well, I can see it from here.
I mean, yeah. Wow. This might be a good piece of meat to work with. Let's see what it tastes like. Cut this off a slice. Now, this is a big old slice. If I can cut it right. See how it tastes. Yeah, this is super tender. Here, try this. This is really good.
All right, I'll try it now. Sorry, I had to sneeze.
Oh, that was a sneeze. Was that an undercover sneeze?
Oh, that's really good. You did good.
It came out really well. I'm happy with it. You know, I think now we're gonna have this like a roast. Like we're having potatoes and some baked beans, but I'm telling you what, to make a killer sandwich, put your favorite cheese on it. You know, I mean, throw some onions, lettuce, and tomato on it. My God, it'd make a great sandwich.
And chimichanga.
Oh, yeah. You can go there. You can do some chimichangas with it. That would be really good.
Beef stew too.
So,
Yep.
I'm going to say a beef knuckle, even though it's a funny name. It was definitely worth a cook, and I think you should really try this one out. So next time, keep it smoking.